Coming up, America is back. Trump signs executive orders and he lays out his agenda. He does as he promised. President Trump signs executive orders immediately, choosing not to waste any time.
Signing is the rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others. Thank you, sir.
His first executive order was rescinding 78 of Biden's executive actions. No doubt, this includes Biden's highly damaging policies regarding fossil fuel exploration, extraction, and the Keystone XL pipeline. This should, just as a start, get the US back on the road to more affordable fuel and power, resulting in reduced inflation and far greater US competitiveness. If you enjoy this sort of content, please like, share and subscribe. You can even buy a cup of coffee if you like.
As you announced in your speech, preventing bureaucrats from issuing any more regulations until we have full control of this, the government and this administration.
The second executive order is to prevent bureaucrats introducing any more regulations prior to the Trump administration having full control of government. In other words, getting the relative secretaries in place. Given the overreach by unelected bureaucrats in recent years, this makes complete sense.
The next item, sir, is a freeze on all federal hiring, excepting the military and a number of other excluded categories, again, until full control of the government is achieved and we understand the objectives of government going forward.
Once again, another move to prevent the bureaucracy from going wild, as they've been far too likely to do in recent times. There will be a freeze on new hirings by the federal government, excepting some institutions, such as the military. This again makes sense and shows that Trump is determined not to let the budget get out of control, or at least more out of control than it already is.
Could you imagine Biden doing this? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Trump also used the occasion to show his sense of humour and his real sense of comic timing. I like the way one pundit explained the enigma that is Donald Trump. They said that Trump is one part Thomas Jefferson, one part Teddy Roosevelt, and one part P.T. Barnum. I think that is quite an apt summation.
Sir, the next item, as you announced in your speech, is a requirement that federal workers return to full-time in-person work immediately.
This executive order relates to getting all federal workers to actually attend their place of work as opposed to working from home. This one could save the taxpayer a significant amount of money. Elon Musk believes that this one action could result in the attrition of 20% of the federal workforce, with all of its associated cost savings.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have a directive to every department and agency in the federal government to address the cost of living crisis that has cost Americans so dearly.
Next is giving the directive to every department to focus on cost of living expenses and reducing them. This one is easy to understand, even if it will be quite a bit more difficult to actually implement.
Next item here is the withdrawal from the Paris Climate Treaty. Yes, sir. We're going to save over $1 trillion by withdrawing from that treaty. Next item, sir, is a letter that will be transmitted to the United Nations explaining that we are withdrawing from the Paris Climate Treaty.
This executive order is one of my absolute favourites. It relates to the ridiculous climate change scam politics that are blighting the entire world and costing a fortune. Trump will once again pull out of the Paris Climate Treaty, saving over $1 trillion, and put the US on a far more rational path in terms of energy policy, which will reduce costs in many other areas as well, not only directly. This goes together with informing the UN of this decision.
This next item is a directive to the federal government ordering the restoration of freedom of speech and preventing government censorship of free speech going forward.
This executive order, given the First Amendment, should reasonably be totally unnecessary, but given the significant overreach by Biden in this area, it is unfortunately necessary. Democrats and others on the left need to realise that freedom of speech is non-negotiable. The way in which we move forward is to fully debate issues, not to put things down as received wisdom, never to be debated, or anything other than religious doctrine that, for instance, is so dear to the Democrats. Ideology is fine, but not if you refuse to debate it. For example, pro-slavery, pro-sexism, and pro-racism ideas were once the mainstream view. Should dissenting views there have been verboten? Clearly not.
And lastly, sir, before we go back to the Oval Office to sign a large number of other items, is a directive to the federal government ending the weaponization of government against the political adversaries of the previous administration, as we've seen.
Again, sadly, this executive order should be totally unnecessary. But once again, it is desperately needed. The weaponization of the justice system against Trump was a disgrace. The Democrats have bleated about the potential for Trump to weaponize the justice system, and this executive order clearly puts that to bed. This, by the Democrats, is a case of projection. It is what they themselves did, and they have now, with Biden's final actions, weaponized the pardon system as well. The Democrats are rank hypocrites.
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sir?
Ooh, that's a big one. So we paid $500 million to World Health when I was here, and I terminated it. China, with 1.4 billion people, we have 350 to pay. We have, nobody knows what we have because so many people came in illegally, but let's say we have 325. They had 1.4 billion. They were paying 39 million. We were paying 500 million. It seemed a little unfair to me. So that wasn't the reason, but I dropped out. They offered me to come back for 39 million. In theory, it should be less than that, but you know. And when Biden came back, they came back for 500 million. He knew that you could have come back for 39 million. They wanted us back so badly, so we'll see what happens.
Back at the Oval Office, Trump signed other executive orders, including this one, withdrawing from the World Health Organization. This is, as Trump says, a big one, but also a good one. Talking about unelected bureaucrats and overreach, this is an arch example of it. The UN wants the entire world's health system to be subservient to the dictates of the WHO. Given the way that the WHO behaved during COVID, and given their mis and disinformation at the time, the answer must be hell no.
I will support universal school choice. We will get critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our schools immediately. And we will keep men out of women's sports.
Trump is also getting trans agendas and critical race theory out of schools and men out of women's change rooms and sports. This is way beyond time. We've seen this woke disease metastasizing in all sorts of unexpected ways, and much in the way of measures that are needed now would have been simple common sense only 10 to 15 years ago, even to Democrats. This leads to the last one from Trump for this video.
It will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
There will now officially only be two genders, male and female. And this is just a statement of biological reality. It's not before time, with ridiculous pick a gender, any gender, even an invented gender. In my view, this is one of the best days ever for the USA, the day when Americans got their country back from the precipice. But what do you think of Trump's first day? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.